use 20% of my earnings to test some new things, but I'll start off with something that's more likely to convert. So it's not wasted, but you do have to test more when you have a new campaign. And I'm curious to hear what Mason's got to say about that.
Yeah, I would say one of the most important things is taking the same carriers to start with. I wouldn't necessarily take this campaign and take the same handsets that I had blacklisted from one network and take that to another, but I would start with the same carriers and the same creatives that were working, because those things are more consistent across all different platforms. Because when you go from one ad network to another, their placements are going to be different. The mix of handsets are going to be different. So one may have a lot of HTC traffic, one may have a lot of iPhone traffic, etc. And they have different publishers there, and those handsets will actually perform differently on a different group of publishers as they will on another. So I wouldn't say, hey, we blacklisted this particular device, and then I'm going to blacklist it on the next network without testing it. But I would start with those good carriers and the good creatives, rerun all the devices again. If you had one group of devices, maybe Samsung that you know was really hot on one or two networks, then I might start a Samsung only campaign just to see if I can push a lot of traffic to that very quickly on the new network to see if maybe that's going to be the same over there. But yeah, that's what I would do.
Well, and we've got a follow-up question from Jim, and he says, this case study seems to indicate that these types of campaigns may be predicated on an event to spike interest and have a fairly short period of time. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I understand what that means. Indicate these types can maybe predicated on an event. Jim, can you clarify what you mean by that question? And Russell, by the way, while Jim's typing that, plug in a headset. You don't need a mic or anything, just so we don't have to keep muting your line so that we don't get feedback. You can just plug in your iPhone headset or whatever. And I just want to see what, and Mason, if you understand that, then, oh, here we go. An article appears in People magazine that hits a sweet spot for that demo. Oh, okay, so Jim's saying, well, is the reason that some of these campaigns do well because they've got some other advertising going on, and then you advertise at the same time, they see it, they know the brand, and they join. So yeah, it could happen. Sure. And it could be that, all your relatives are playing Candy Crush Saga on Facebook, and then you see the banner on the iPhone, and you're like, okay, well, I play this on Facebook, or, mom and dad are sending me invitations on Facebook, so maybe I'll try this out. Sure. Sure, that can happen for sure. However, I think that in terms of striking fast, part of it is that things change in the industry rapidly. So for example, the push campaign that Russell had going, he couldn't continue it now because that type of advertising is no longer allowed. Okay, it was banned by Google, right? So you can't do the push notification anymore. So could you adjust this to work in another way? Sure, but it's going to be a little bit different. The ROI is not going to be 1900%, right? Unless you have magic. So different variables come into play. Another thing is, well, it did well, so guess how many people started running it, kept running it, and maybe are running $1,000 on it every day. I don't know who, right? But there's saturation. And at a certain point, the saturation makes it so that your profitable campaign is no longer profitable because those handsets and carriers that converted so well for you, those people have already seen that ad, several times from you and from other advertisers. So so at a certain point, can you adjust for that? Can you create new banners? Yeah, definitely. Can you get new people's interests? Yeah, definitely. Are the new people getting these cell phones every day? Oh yeah, for sure. Hundreds of thousands. But at a certain point, you just got to move on and say, what did I learn from this, and how can I take that to the next campaign? So yes, to answer your question, having outside advertising definitely helps in terms of people have seen this brand and now they see the banner for it, but it's not everything. It's yeah, not everything.
Yeah, and two, I mean, so that's what when I was saying I leveraged a major brand, that's kind of what I meant. I mean, they were even on TV, you know, and it isn't very often that you see an app that actually makes it to network television, and Candy Crush did. So it did help, you know. I wouldn't say, you know, that it was, you know, like Leanne said, it's not, you know, the end all be all, but it did help. It definitely doesn't hurt to have that branding behind it. So yeah, that's kind of the thing with Candy Crush. The only other couple of things I can say, just to go back to Jim's question, is no, it wasn't wasted because I wouldn't have been able to do what I did here if I hadn't done this before this point. Like, I didn't just start running mobile traffic. I'd been running mobile for a year and a half, almost actually 2 years by the time I touched this campaign. So I came to the table with certain understandings, and those certain understandings are things like, you know, the carrier targeting and so on, like Mason and Leanne both said. So that's the reason. And if I can only add one more thing to this, I would say that I didn't use any different banners. I just used whatever the network gave me. Once again, you know, am I a lazy affiliate? Maybe, I don't know, but I just like to test what's there first because it's the easiest thing to do. And in this case, it paid off to this percentage. So now when I move forward, if I were to test something similar, I would start with AT&T and T-Mobile. Like Mason said, I wouldn't necessarily try these handsets. I'd want to see what that different network gave me, you know, when I threw those manufacturers out. So that's kind of the deal with Candy Crush. So if there are no other questions about Candy Crush, I'll move on. We're running, you know, we have like maybe 15 minutes left, 10, 15 minutes. And if there are any questions, definitely ask them right now while I do this. My computer does these funny things where it logs things in and out, and I have 2 of these accounts, one we use for this, so now I have to relog back into this. Mason, Leanne, you want to add anything while I'm getting these numbers up again?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Jim was saying is true to some extent. I mean, there's always these like little trends, and then you can cash in on that based on what's happening, you know, just in society and, you know, on the TV and all these things that you can't control, but you can sometimes capitalize on the waves of traffic that happen as a result of that and the things that people are interested in, and you know, it really is sort of a short term. You know, and when you can hit it, you got to hit it hard because you might go dry for a little while. And especially if you're just direct linking, especially on mobile, it's very, you know, up and down all the time. The offers go away left and right, and so, you know, you really got to put up a lot of campaigns and be smart about it, and you know.
Yeah,
sorry.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I was muted there for a second.
Yeah, that's my fault. The whole muting thing's going on. My headset was actually destroyed like literally a day ago, so I'm not able to use my headset today. So I apologize for that. So
while you're still pulling all that stuff up, Jim has I really like this question. He says, I did some quick math and see you could gross revenue approximately 550,000 in a month at 1,000 a day. You know, multiplying using the ROI. Would the network pay you quick enough to be able to fund this? So, Jim, at a certain level, if you are providing a nice amount of conversions to a network, they would be fools not to work with you and give you weekly payouts, and, you know, who knows, maybe even pay you faster than that, as long as they know you're giving quality. So if you would join the CPA network and within like the first week you sent them this much traffic, they would probably not pay you for another month. You know what I mean? Because they want to know, is this good for the advertiser? Is this okay? Is this guy sending me fraudulent leads, etc.? But once you have that history with them and they know that you're a stand-up affiliate, that you've got integrity, you're not defrauding them, you can very quickly get on weekly payouts and wires and all of that. And they would be, absolute fools not to help you fund it. So, I mean, you would basically want to pick up the phone and talk to your affiliate manager and say, hey, look, here's what I got. I want to up the spend. I need weekly payouts, or I need, send me daily payouts, and I'll get you to 10,000 a day, whatever, whatever you can do. So, yeah, they would definitely help you, unless unless you're sending them fraudulent traffic, which people do, or your leads are not quality leads. The advertiser doesn't like them for some reason, or they just don't trust you, or they're just, if they don't have the ability to, they're the wrong network to work with.
Unmuted.
Yeah, that's very true. From my time I worked with Wr4p. I was one of their affiliate managers, and we had a few guys that when we had Zeusk were up over $10,000 a day, and we never paid people by the day. We paid people weekly, like net 7. So whatever they ran the previous week, we'd pay them the following Friday. And most people, would have IOs or insertion orders, with their media buys, so they could, kind of run it on a credit line. And then, with whatever they made over on top of that, they could pay it off that week, that Friday, and then just start all over on Saturday and run it all again for the next week. And so we established that. And plus you get pay bumps too. Like, I remember Zeusk being the big juggernaut offer when I was with Wr4p, and it started out that it was like a $3.60 payout, and we had it bumped up almost double. I think, like obviously the network gets a certain percentage. I don't remember what that was, but I just remember that we had doubled it for some of the guys that were doing $10,000 and $11,000 a day. Once we could prove the quality, and in the end, unfortunately, what it ended up being is they are a huge national brand, and they expected that search traffic come a certain way, and they kind of got funny about it, and they just started pulling it from networks. And now they have an app offer. I don't know if it's as strong as, I wouldn't think it's as strong as the WAP offer was, but they do have a regular app offer now. And I know that they couldn't really monetize the app as well as they could, the WAP version. So, whatever, but, just that's kind of my story. And, just to back up what Leanne said, that's totally correct. So, we ran some, quite a few of these for this mobile case study. Back to earth on this one, of course, kind of got washed in it. Conversion rate of less than a percent, but got some gold nuggets out of it. This is a South African offer called Coolaville Partner Tracker. I happen to know it's working for some people. The EPC was almost 2 cents, so it's more of a normal EPC. We ran it for a pretty short period, and I'll tell you what happened. Going back to what Mason said with, going to the carrier and then going to handsets, I'll give you some of the, killer information here. Looking through this is my carrier, by the way, MTN Network Solutions Party Ltd. That is a South African carrier. And then if we go down here, there's going to be a few other ones. There's a Pier 1, which was nothing, but right here, Cell C Party Ltd, 133 clicks with no love there. So, pretty quickly what I did was took that out of my traffic list. Now, understand, we ran all of this with Site Scout. This was actually Steve, one of our other coaches. It was his Site Scout account, and we just ran the traffic from there. None of us had ever tried Site Scout traffic, and I would say that the biggest thing that happened to us is when we started to really optimize, traffic dried up quickly. There just wasn't enough volume there. So when we did start to get profitable or get close to profitability or break even, basically we had optimized it to a point that they weren't going to serve us any traffic anymore. So once I cut this out, I lose 133 clicks over this period. This one I didn't really like. 40, and I got no love there. 282 from Vodacom, and no love there, no leads. So I cut that out, and then MTN Business, there were only 10. So I go back and I isolate it. So now I'm only using one carrier, which is this top one, MTN Network Solutions Party Ltd. That happened to be my carrier. What did I get out of this? Like maybe a pretty small EPC revenue conversion rate. But then here, if you look at the handsets, and here goes back to that question about the handsets, I got some real gold here. Happened to find out, of all things, that the old RIM BlackBerry 8520 kills it in South Africa, or at least conceivably so, from 46 visits, 4 leads. That's almost a 9% conversion rate with a mobile offer to this. So if there were some way that I could have broke away from Site Scout and got more volume from this carrier and the RIM Blackberries, I might have been very profitable with this, you know, because you can see that my EPC was almost 17 cents on this. Okay, so that's one of my handsets. Another one that, you know, didn't, I mean, these didn't do so bad. I mean, the Nokia, and these aren't phones that you really hear a whole ton about here anymore. Yeah, they exist, but you don't hear a lot. Opera is a browser, Mini 1 and Mini 4. And then, you know, I had a few that had just one conversion, but these, especially these two right here, maybe I could have learned a little bit more and did something with those. So, you know, maybe a piece of gold to take out of this is if you ever run a campaign in South Africa, you know, maybe you could at least understand that this is one of the carriers that worked for my case study, MTN Network Solutions Party Ltd. And then, you know, take a look at, even though you may be thinking Samsung or something else, maybe start with RIM traffic, which is something I don't do very often, by the way. I had to be convinced, actually, to run BlackBerry traffic because I just don't, in general, I don't, you know, think that it's, I've tried it and it's just not profitable, and, you know, it's a bleeding source for my campaign, so I never do it. But for South Africa, that's not the case. And same thing with Nokia. I haven't really ever got those to convert, but, you know, maybe it's pretty decent for South Africa. Anything you guys want to add on this case study here?
No. It is difficult to sometimes try to, like he was saying, try to optimize too tight around it, because it's like, hey, if I could just run all this RIM BlackBerry traffic, I'd be rich. But unfortunately, with mobile, sometimes it doesn't work that way. The less traffic, or the more targeted you try to get, the less traffic they give you. Not just because there is less traffic, but because they want to reward the people that are buying the bulk traffic by giving them more. So it's like the more crappy traffic you buy, the more good traffic you get. So the one way around that is to just keep buying everything. And then for these other things in here, like this Opera Mini 5, like I can already tell you right now, I want to get rid of that. In South Africa, this might be hard to do, but what I would do before I eliminated it from the campaign, I might try to redirect that traffic to a different offer to see if I can get the EPC up somewhat on that device instead of getting rid of it, so we still get the volume, even if it's losing a little bit of money. If I can get 2 cent EPC, for example, on that device, and we're, you know, that's less of a loss than we're getting on it now, and then that would still allow us to get more volume from the network.
Right, and the MobAF tracker will let you do that, right? It'll let you redirect by
It will,
device.
yeah. You can set up rules based on device and other things. So, yeah.
Great.
Unmuted.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. I know that MobAF will. I know that iMobiTrax will, and I know that AdMobix, you know, build a tool recently. I think Leanne and I were talking about that, that allows you to redirect. So that's kind of advanced, and it's beyond even what I did. But that's a good point if you're, you know, kind of limited. And I guess what I could have done too is, once again, you know, you got to find those traffic networks. I mean, you got to ask around. You got to find out who has, you know, good volume for South Africa, and you got to go for it that way. So. At this point, I mean, I have 2 other mobile case studies here. You know, one that you know, did quite well. Do we have time for one more, Leanne?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, cool. I did run the BinBit Argentina antivirus. I can only run it for, once again, it was just a game of attrition where it came to the point that you know, I got it down to the profitable, you know, carriers and the profitable handsets, and it just dried up on us. This one, actually, this next one, Mozook UAE, actually ended up, once this, it takes forever to click over to the new stats, but this one actually was quite interesting. We'll take a look at it here. Let's see, telecom. Let's see, we have Emirates Telecommunications. Okay, I just want to make sure that this is broken out the way it needs to. And let's take a look at our time frame. 7/1 to 8/29. And it might have been earlier, but oh well. Let's just go with this. Okay. So this one, there was very little volume to, unfortunately, because, you know, once we found that combination that was working, it wasn't so bad. This is, you know, United Arab Emirates. And, you know, for this country, if you are running any of it, I'm going to say I've heard from sources that it can be a gold mine. You know, you have a lot of English-speaking workers over there. So you can test, and I did. I tested both Arabic language banners, and then I tested the same banners in English. And believe it or not, the English banners out-converted the Arabic ones. So that may tell you something about user activity. You know, as far as, once again, breaking out my carrier and device, you can see right here that Emirates Integrated Telecommunications Company, PJS, was one of the carriers that produced a few, and then Emirates Telecommunications Corporation. As far as devices, man, Nokia over there, you know, conversion rate 8.7, 9%, 10%. You know, this is kind of skewed 100%, it says, but, you know, you'd have to get more data to really go for that. But, you know, good EPCs, you know, almost 10 cents, 10 cents, 11 cents. So if I could have, once again, if I could have got more volume, you know, with my traffic source, which was Site Scout at the time, and maybe they've, you know, gotten more, they weren't really doing mobile at the time. So we were doing something kind of uncharted to do mobile with it, but we just wanted to see how it would work, because I think we were getting the clicks for like 2 cents. Like at one point, Steve and I were laughing because, you know, we were getting these conversions at, you know, $1, I think it was $1.10. And we were paying 2 cents a click. So, you know, we could throw all these clicks at it and get one conversion and still be in the black. So at one point, this one was, you know, was profitable. We just got to the point that the volume totally dried up. And once again, I guess going back to what Mason said, maybe we could have kept, you know, some of this other traffic instead of like blocking it out, and, you know, did some redirect offers to see how that would work. You know, that was kind of taking it to the next step. And even down with this Emirates Telecommunications Corporation, you can see that once again, it's Nokia, Nokia, Nokia. So that's kind of how it ended up. But if you ever run United Arab Emirates traffic, now you know you can start with these two carriers and run with Nokia, and you might have a winning combination on your hands. It's possible. Anything you guys want to say about this one?
No, I mean, I think what I heard was the reason why, this is just a random fact, or sort of speculation, but what this guy was telling me was that the reason why the English stuff converts is because it's a lot of oil workers that are interested in this offer that are in the UAE that aren't really Arabs. And they convert better, so they respond to English ads instead of the Arabic ads. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that totally makes sense. You know, and really you have to test it everywhere, whether it's, you know, in Spain, people have always said you have to test both Spanish and English. In Germany, German and English. So whatever market you're in, go both. You know, test both.
Yep.
So yeah, so I think that's kind of what I wanted to share today, is just, you know, some of the successes that we had, some of the gold we picked out of it. You know, the one monster case study with the huge ROI, and you know, if there are any questions, definitely now's the time. You know, come forward with them, and, you know, if you don't think of them now and you think of them later, you can come to the forum in Jumpstart, you know, module 11, and you know, ask them inside of the forum too, and we can always answer them there as well. So anything else, Leanne?
Oh, I think this is a really good set of case studies, and it it really shows what the mobile landscape is like, where you can really, as long as you're active and you're testing things, you have the opportunity to find the campaigns that just kill it. And if you take advantage and you take action fast and you grow it fast, which is very possible by spending more money, by talking to the ad network, by signing an insertion order and getting more traffic that way, and by talking to your affiliate manager, making sure that you can get the payouts that you need. By doing all of that, you can really capitalize on this. And while it may not be steady, it's I think in my opinion anyway, it's a little bit harder to find a really steady campaign on mobile. But as long as you're active, you really have the opportunity to make money with this in a big way, as we saw, for example, with the Candy Crush saga. So always new ad networks popping up. They've got access to new inventory. And if you're just up on it, if you stay connected and you know what's going on, you try new things, you're going to find your success. You just have to really stay active with it and do the work.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I noticed that was the case for me. I mean, it took a long time to get, to break even, and then a long time to get to profitable. And it has so much to do with the traffic. I mean, I used a lot of different traffic networks, and you've got to find that sweet spot with the traffic. I guess, a good starting place is to go to some of the bigger networks, but customer service is important too. If you're not getting the attention you deserve from an ad rep, you're kind of on your own, and it's not the kind of game you want to be on your own with. I mean, you really want somebody you can talk to that can give you insights, tell you what to target, and you got to find that network. Definitely. I know that JumpTap was acquired by Millennial Media, and they were both huge in the mobile space for for inventory. I mean, I don't know how much they have, a ton, I bet now. So I guess it's somewhere to at least look. For the foreign offers, we tried M0b as well. I know people make it work for the offers that we were running. I didn't see it working for me. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just didn't work for the offers I was running it with. If you're running the South American stuff, like I had that one Argentina BinBit campaign, I guess you could take a look at Hunt Mobile Ads. They specialize in South America. So you really you got to find that level of customer service, and you got to find where the traffic is. And if you do, and then you learn these rules, like I showed you in the Candy Crush, where I know which carriers to target, and I learn that knowledge and have it, then you're probably in a good place. So I think overall, these are good lessons about mobile. It's not easy, but is it worthwhile? Yes. Is it worth spending money on? Yes. Are there people making $1 million a month in pure profit? Yes, it's true. There are people that run 500 offers and they make $1 million a month. So it's true.
I wasn't sure. I was kind of waiting. I wasn't sure if Mason was going to say something, but since they're, yeah, go ahead, Mason. Yeah. I see you got muted. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely the key here is you have to run a lot of campaigns, and then sort of know that how to optimize them based off really just what he showed you here, and then you probably have to take that a step further and start redirecting traffic based off. And so that can get very, very difficult to manage. So anybody who's doing that much traffic, they have probably 5 or 10 people that they've outsourced a lot of this stuff to. They've built a system for it, and they can replicate that over and over again. And that takes a lot of time, a lot of thought, and it takes more people than just yourself to do that kind of stuff. But there's no reason why you can't make a few $100s a day by yourself if you put the time into it. And then from there it's just scaling it, and it is very time consuming the way you have to set them up in the networks, as you've seen on mobile. There's no real uploads. It's just have to do it in the interface one thing at a time. That takes forever. So if you could outsource that stuff, get a good amount of campaigns, do the optimization yourself. You could, we were doing, the most we ever did, I think, was $6,000 in a day in profit back when we were running mobile with when I was doing the Wr4p stuff. So and that was pretty much just me and one other person that we had outsourced the creative. Well, actually, we had a designer, we had someone who set up campaigns, and then I was doing optimization. So that was with 3 people. But it was up and down. We were anywhere from 300 to 5 or 6 grand a day in profit. That most days weren't, anywhere near 6 grand, but we could keep 400 to 700 a day pretty easily.
Awesome, cool. So I don't see any more questions in the queue. I want to thank Russell for sharing these case studies. I think, there's, especially the Candy Crush case study, you look at that and you go, oh my God, there's so much potential in this industry, and there really is, and you just got to take action and run it. And of course, I want to thank Mason for all his input. Mason's just, to me, the king of mobile, of running mobile. I mean, he's talking about outsourcing. That's something that he did. He actually, I don't know if he still has this person who just full time does all the, uploading of banners and just the basic mundane stuff that's time consuming, but doesn't make the money. You got to do it, but it's not what makes the money. And what makes the money is the actual optimization, is looking at the stats, is doing the pivot tables, is all of that. Yeah.
The whole strategy part is really the what makes the money.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you to both you guys for your time, for your expertise, for Russell for sharing your stats, which I'm sure you probably wanted to keep to yourself. And that's kind of what we like to do for you guys. This wraps up the mobile module. We may occasionally add a couple more modules for you guys. If we see something cool, we want to share it with you, but we don't want to share it with the just the entire forum. We might add it to the course, so look out for that. Definitely ask us questions if you're listening to the recording. Go ahead and post your questions and your comments. We'd love to answer them. And Jim says, great content, folks. Many thanks. You're very welcome. And we love doing this for you guys. That's why we're here. Finally, I want to thank again Rick, our audio video guy, who does an amazing job of getting these ready for the web so that they stream nicely for you and so you can watch them online. So thank you for that, Rick. And with that, we're going to end this module. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you on the forum.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.